Greetings, everyone. How are you this evening? Dale Parrish, host COS today, along with my co-host, Mr. Ken Kashuba.
How you doing, Dale?
Good, good. Ken, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks.
Yeah, I guess it's going to get hot again here in our area, isn't it?
Yeah, hot, but we're not out of the woods with all this. I don't know. This is kind of a strange July. We've had a lot of rain
Yeah,
scattered over the state, but I think
yeah.
a lot of rain everywhere, from what I've seen.
Apparently so. Flooding, and I'll tell you, it's been another one of those seasons, I guess. You
Yep,
know.
yep.
So, well,
Other than
listen,
that,
we got. Pardon me.
everything's fine.
Yeah, other than that. Well, we got a good show lined up for you tonight. We're going to start off with our In Focus group, In Focus segment, I should say, which I've really enjoyed. I think we've had some very good discussions, and we'll we've got another one lined up for us this evening that we'll be getting into very shortly here, and then we've got I recorded an interview with one of the people participating in the In Focus group here, Brett Sturley.
He's doing double time, huh?
He's doing double time tonight, uh,
Right.
one live and one recorded. So he's going to talk to us about the War Powers Act of 1973. Very obviously that has been in the news here very, very recently too.
Yep.
But let's, without further ado, let's get into our first segment that we're now calling the In Focus segment. And let me bring on our guest for this evening, and we will get started here. Well, speak of the devil, there's Mr. Brett Sturley. Hey, Brett.
Hey Dale, hey Ken, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good,
Brett's
Brett. That's going to go viral now.
Oh yeah, there you
Yeah. Maybe that'll get a lot of views, huh?
go. Maybe so. Maybe so.
Brett is the state director for the Convention of States in Missouri. And let's bring in our other guest, Mr. Marty Wood. Marty, I know you used to be the legislative liaison for the state of Indiana. Do you have a title now?
I do. You kind of let off with it. It's about to get hot in here.
Uh-oh. Okay. Marty has been with Convention of States for many, many years now. And as a matter of fact, I'm digressing a little bit here, but Marty is really one of the pioneers of our movement, especially here in the state of Indiana. He caught a lot of arrows. I like to say that Marty went out and caught a lot of arrows, introducing the Convention of States to various areas of our state of Indiana, and this was before anyone had really heard about this or even talked about it at all, right, Marty? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, and a few of the groups were a little on the hostile side at times, so
Yes,
it was
yes.
a good learning curve.
But yeah, so I consider Marty one of our pioneers here in the state of Indiana, certainly in the state of Indiana. So anyway, this is what we call the In Focus group, and this is where we gather four of us together, and we just talk about what each of us is focusing on. What is our focus in world events going on today? And Marty, since I just touched on you, I'm gonna let you lead off, and
Okay.
you tell us what are you focusing on?
Well, one thing I'm trying not to focus on is world events, to be honest with you, because I paid a lot of money for my TVs, and I don't like throwing things at them. But in the spirit of grassroots engagement, which really is what our movement's about. It's what any movement is about. It's what this country was founded on, was grassroots engagement. I'm trying to encourage people to get involved in their local political spectrum. State and local, mostly local and county. Everything starts at that level. And as a citizen, uh, this is all about your neighborhood. It's about your city. It's about your county. You can reach out and touch these people certainly a whole lot easier than you can at the federal level or at the national level. Let's put it that way. And unfortunately, you know, we sit around with a lot of people grumbling and mumbling about things based on what they're hearing at that national level on Fox News and various networks on TV, and yet right under their noses is the same thing, if not worse. And they've got an ability to get out and get involved with it, get out and change it, because if you change it at that local level, it starts to roll uphill. It changes at the county level, it changes at the state level, and that's when it finally starts to change at the national level. But if you don't get involved locally, nothing's going to happen. And it's the easiest thing there is, and yet so few people do it. And
That's
they kind
true.
of count on that.
Yeah.
Politics has become what it has because they count on such limited engagement by we the people. And we all are familiar with what Franklin said about the founding of this country and about what it took to keep it. And we're not doing very well at keeping it because we, the people, are not doing our job. We don't get involved in things where we can, and where we can is local.
Now, Marty, if I recall right, I haven't spoken with you in quite some time, but you're a precinct captain, right? Are you
I am.
still
I'm a
still in that
precinct committeeman
committeeman?
for my party.
Okay.
And that's another place you can get involved is in your party.
Okay.
Whatever it is, you can go to. We have in most places in Indiana, we have a local city or town party meeting once a month. There's a county party meeting that's chaired and run by the county representative from the party, elected official from the party, elected by the party membership. Not in a general election, but by the party membership. And again, that's how you get influence. Get involved, get people to know you and know what you stand for. And then of course the big issue is your city council meetings, your county council meetings. And you don't have to go. I don't even encourage people to go all the time. You'll start throwing things at your wife instead of the TV. Because it's but you got to go often enough and look at the information, what's on the schedule. Every year is a budget. There's a budget session where you see our taxpayers going out the door and turning into the national deficit. It's basically the same thing. And everybody works hard for their money, and you complain about $36 trillion. Well, you can't touch that. You can't even fathom that. But look at several hundred million at your local city, and look at how much of that is being wasted. And by, not only ineffective government that's top end loaded with administrative, just like our federal government is. I mean, we're dealing in your local situation. I guarantee you will find is a microcosm of exactly the same thing you see on TV. So why don't we touch it? Why don't we reach out and touch it and start knocking some heads together, get them to listen to us, get them to be reasonable, and get them out of there when they can't? Because you can do the most at that level. You can't just reach out and touch these people in Washington and get rid of them.
Right. Right.
And you can do that more easily locally.
I wanted to chime in on what Marty's talking about here, because you hear us say on our program, COS Today here, you hear us say from time to time that we're trying to approach things from what we call the COS perspective, the Convention of States perspective. Well, that perspective is made up of a combination of our resolution that we want calling for a convention, and there's 3 pillars involved in that resolution. So that's part of what our perspective is made of. The other part is, in fact, the core values of Convention of States. And one of the core values is self-governance. And that's what I think Marty is talking about, is how we encourage our volunteers to exert self-governance. And that means getting involved. That means getting involved in your local politics. I don't care, even from the uh, uh, neighborhood group, if it's whatever wherever you fit in, or you feel like you can fit in, we encourage our people to do that. And we had a couple here just recent in the past few years get elected to school boards in their area. Do we have any more that have found a position on a school board, Marty? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Yeah, yeah, but that's certainly an opportunity to get involved through your local school board too. So, very good, very good. Anything else, Marty, you wanted to say about that, or?
No, I just encourage people to take a look. I mean, if you want to there's so many things to get involved in. Just even quickly, take our petition as an example. Okay, term limits, fiscal responsibility, and overreach of government. Right.
Right.
Term limits. We've got mayors around the state that have been mayors for 16, 20 years. Okay, what for? We've got. As far as fiscal responsibility goes, take a look at those budgets in the cities or towns that you're in, and ask yourself, where is this money going? The property taxes has been a big issue in Indiana this year. They've done nothing to, try to curb it. It's a big issue in Texas right now, in another majority Republican state that is turning out to be a bunch of people who ran as Republicans but are not acting as Republicans. And it's causing them a lot of problems. And Texas is a microcosm of this country, and if that state doesn't turn around, it's going to start going the other way. Indiana, I live in a very red. It has been the reddest county in the state, in a super majority state, and yet you look at the stuff that's being done, and this place is going purple faster than you can
Really?
say blue,
Really?
and yeah, and then overreach of government. I got a mayor here who signed who on behalf of the citizens of the city entered into a contract with a private trash collection entity for 10 years. Okay, 10-year contract. That's a generational contract. They basically created a monopoly for 10 years. Put all the citizens of the city on it, okay, because a handful of new developed areas were not big enough to have trash collection. Okay, again, a super minority complained, but the city, talk about overreach of government. What did the city have to do with going out on their own on behalf of the citizens into a 10-year contract with a trash company?
Yeah. What could go wrong there? What could go wrong?
Yeah. So I mean, all of this
Okay.
stuff, it fits right into what we are trying to deal with at a national level.
Yeah. All right. All right. Good. Thanks, Marty.
You bet.
Brett, what's on your mind, bud?
Well, I'd like to dovetail just a little bit on what Marty said, because he's got a really, and it is sad how few people are involved in politics at the local level, in their school boards and their city councils, and you have to think about that. That's where the future state legislators come from. The governors, the lieutenant governors, the treasurers, the congressmen, congresswomen, senators. That's kind of the breeding ground. I really like what David Barton said, because he's obviously he's David Barton from Wall Builders. He's involved, and everyone's wanting to get his endorsement and his opinion. He's advised on so many different campaigns, and he said that the one question that he'll always ask, whether it's somebody running for the school board or trash collector to president, is he'll ask what's your stance on life. And he said, like for some of these smaller offices, they'll kind of like look just like, well, what are you asking me that for? And he said, well, if I know where you stand on the life issue, I know where you'll stand on 95% of the other issues. And it's a whole lot easier for me to take you out now if you're on the wrong side of things, rather than whenever you get entrenched in power and you move up the ladder.
That's
So I
good.
thought that was, but so we can have a tremendous impact, and it is sad that there are so few people involved in politics at the state and local level. But it also, for an organization like Convention of States, it's benefits us because fewer of us can make a bigger impact. And so it doesn't take massive numbers. We don't have to go to the Capitol with 200 people. We can go and just like, hey, you know what? I had 20 phone calls here about this one issue in the last week. I don't have 20 phone calls about about a single issue in the whole entire session. Wow, maybe I need to pay attention to this. So we can really leverage, I guess, citizen apathy. So, I mean, this is a government of those who participate, and
Right.
so we can kind of be that guiding force.
All right.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
deserve
What's on
what we
your
get.
mind?
We don't get involved.
Yeah. So one thing that's in the news here and is Chip and Joanna Gaines, and many of our viewers might be familiar with them. I've always been an avid fan of their show on HGTV, Fixer Upper. They parlayed that into Magnolia Farms down in Waco, Texas, and the Magnolia TV network. And I guess the Google says that their net worth is around $50 million. And I mean, they've been incredibly successful, and which is great. The one thing that really kind of drew me into watching them, aside from their personalities, which they're very, very likable people, and they do very, very good work. It's nice seeing these home renovations, but they've always been public about their faith, and they have led with Christianity, not made any bones about that whatsoever, and been very public about it. Well, they have a new show that they've ruffled some feathers that's coming out on HBO, I believe, and it's called Back to the Frontier, and it's about taking families back to the mid 1800s and seeing how frontier life was like.
Yeah,
And
is that show on now, or is it coming?
I don't think it's on yet, but I think it's starting soon,
Okay, all
I
right.
believe. And so they have, I don't have 4, 5, 6 couples on there, families on there. Well, one of the families they have is a same-sex homosexual couple, 2 guys, and they have 2 children that were born from surrogates. And so, obviously, that's not in line with biblical teaching and with the faith that they've professed for the entirety of their career. And so they got a lot of blowback here on social media, and just basically just kind of asking, what are you thinking? And this is at a time to where we probably have just come out of the least pridey Pride Month that we've had in the last 10 years. I mean, it was very, very muted. You had
It was, wasn't it? Yes, it was.
it was. I mean, it wasn't
No
in
celebrations at the White House or any.
No. Everybody kept their clothes on the White House lawn. I mean, it was crazy, and so
I should.
see, you
Okay.
got me off track now. Let me pull this thing back out of the ditch. So so um, so you've got all these corporations that are backing off of their DEI, and schools are removing CRT. I mean, we've done that in Missouri, here out of our schools and out of our libraries. And so the whole rainbow jihad seems to be waning. It's not on the ascent. So why they would just wade into this now makes zero sense. So they got some blowback, and then on social media, and then so Chip Gaines, I just had it here just a second ago. Here, Chip Gaines responded this way, and I said I just had it. There we go. So, in response to this was on the 13th, about a little over a week ago. And his tweet on, or his post on X was, talk, ask questions, listen, maybe even learn. Too much to ask of modern day American Christian culture. Judge first, understand later / never. It's a sad Sunday when non believers have never been confronted with hate or vitriol until they are introduced to a modern American Christian. Now, I don't know if there's a new version of the scripture that we're supposed to be following here. But as far as I know, and what Chip and Joanna Gaines has been out front, is they have been out front with the actual Bible, actual scripture. And there are a couple instructions that were given. And it seems like that they have these a little bit backwards. And one instruction is love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. Okay. Then love your neighbor as yourself. Okay. Well, they're in that order for a reason. Okay. We're not to be nicer than God, and we're not to defy his teachings and biblical teachings and the morals, basically the morals that successful societies have been built upon for thousands of years. It's not exactly just like, in the last 15 or 20 years, we cracked the code and figured out, hey, you know what? Oh, you know what? This is the way to do it. Men can be women, women can be men, boys and girls are interchangeable. Men can compete with each other against women. This isn't some type of magical, this magical cryptex that we just solved here and we unlock the keys to humanity. And so from a biblical standpoint, God is a giver amount of mercy and salvation, and it's very clear that from biblical teaching that marriage means something between one man and one woman. And if you think back, and this is where the slippery slope argument is undefeated. It's never been disproven. If you think, 20, 25 years ago, we started hearing about, same-sex couples, just like, well, you know what, we don't, maybe we don't want to have like a marriage, but you know what, if my loved one my partner is in the hospital, I want to be able to go there and be in the room and get information about their condition, or I want to be able to be on their insurance policy or collect insurance. That's all I want to do. That's it. And we're like, well, that seemed pretty innocuous, but the left always plays the long game and they never ever stop. And so then we go in and we start talking about same-sex marriage. Like, well, and some people thought, hey, well, that's no big deal. Love is love. I'm like, okay, well, can I love a 13-year-old? Can I love a 13-year-old boy or girl? Can I love a goat? Can I love, what all can I marry? If love is love, if there aren't any boundaries. And besides, marriage is a specific institution. And like Rush Limbaugh said, words mean things. And marriage is very, very clearly, traditionally and scripturally, a union of love between one man and one woman until death us do part. And so the compromise.
Ken, we ought to get a number of views on this segment, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, we might get some.
We're not pulled off of YouTube for this. But anyway.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get deplatformed. But the in some thought that, well, hey, we'll just have a compromise, have a civil union. So you'll have a civil union. It's not a marriage because we can't. It's not up to us to define words. Words have specific definitions, and so that was something that said, okay, well, we'll have civil unions to where they'll have same-sex couples will have all legal rights of marriage without calling it marriage. Well, and now we continue to go, and we've seen the advancement of this rainbow jihad, and now to where boys and girls are interchangeable, and guys can go into women's locker rooms and undress in front of them, being all anatomically male, which at one point in time, society would have taken care of that because two people would have gone in and only one would have come out, and it wouldn't have been the pervert that's going into the locker room. And now we've gotten to the point to where it's now we used we used to talk about well, transvestites, cross dressers. Well, now no they're queens. They're queens now. Like, well, yeah, no, they're not. And now we've gone from pedophiles, which adults who prey on minors, to now the new acronym that softens this is a MAP, M-A-P, a minor attracted person. I'm just a person that's attracted to a minor. Well, that sounds nice and innocuous and everything. No, you're a pedophile, and I don't know. Just for me, I think anyone who preys upon a child, anyone who is who molests a child or endangers a child or sexually abuses a child like that, I think that should be a capital offense, and I think it ought to be carried out within 60 days.
All right.
We've got
All right.
DNA evidence.
What's the name of this? What's the name of this program that's going to come on?
It's called Back to the Frontier.
Back to the Frontier. Okay. Well, we'll see how this flies.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware. I wasn't
starting off very well.
I'm glad you brought this up because I had just heard little bits and pieces about this and didn't know very, very much about it at all. So,
see, Dale, you led with "It's about to get hot in here."
I think it is.
Dale, let me throw up a comment we've got. I'm going to throw up a comment we got here.
No kidding, a comment, really?
Yeah, from our famous leader here, Dale Tipton says, John Adams said, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Morality and virtue are the foundation of a republic and necessary for a society to be free."
Amen.
All right. Okay, good. Well, thank you very much, Brett.
You're welcome. Hopefully we still are allowed on YouTube.
I hope we make it. Yes, I hope we do. Ken, what's on your mind?
Well, other than the fact that Brett has reminded me of the degradation and the slippery slope of our society and where it's ended up, that's for another day, another program if we survive. I'm going to bring up something I think every American, regardless of what persuasion you are, regardless of what side of the fence you want to be on, every American should be aware that Tulsi Gabbard has brought to a criminal charges to the FBI on the Obama administration. Chief of all people, Barack Hussein Obama, who basically a couple of weeks before he left office led the charge to certainly try and bring down a presidential candidate. This is unprecedented in our history, and it makes Watergate look like a fly on a piece of flypaper. It really should upset everybody that we have allowed this to get to the point where, this is something that I guess, when you hear about treason and you hear about the penalty for treason, this is what kind of it makes my blood boil a bit, is the fact that there is evidence. Now, again, don't let any major media outlet try and tell you there's no evidence or that it's fabricated somewhere. There is actual evidence and documents that show that this happened. My biggest problem with this, not only is it unprecedented and really thought that I would never see this in the country we live in, but my problem now is, I know what the Democratic side's going to be. Hands are all going to be going up. They're going to object to this. My problem right now is with the party that I see called the Republican Party. That at this point, I have to give credit that at least this has been revealed. But now that it's been revealed, I'm throwing out the challenge that I think, and I could probably count. I'm going to take a shot at 10. I'm going to say 10 of our congressional leaders in Congress would actually pursue holding the feet to the fire at this point. And I think we could probably get an agreement as to what that charge is. Now, it involves obviously a lot of people in that administration, but the chief kahuna here, who has no kahunas, is Barack Obama. And according to what I understand, death is the penalty. And I don't think our Republican leadership has the kahunas to follow through on this.
Let me ask this question. Do you think we're talking about something that occurred over 8 years ago? Am I right?
2016, correct.
Does the American public want to rehash that? Does the American public want to hear about this all again?
Well, that's part of the problem, Dale.
It's going to happen again.
It will happen again if we don't finally put some metal to some switch to the whip.
Some things like this, the Epstein files, even talking about Trump talking about changing the name of the Commanders football team back to the Redskins. I'm just wondering, is the American public, these are stories from the past, things from the past, some even further back than some of the others, and I'm just wondering if the American public is the public willing to go through all this stuff again?
Well, I think if you look at the majority that voted for Trump and is on board with just about everything he's done so far, I think that portion of the country is ready to finally do something about some of this stuff.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people have had enough. There's that other segment of the population that just wants to turn off their 24-hour news segment and move on to the next challenge. Yeah, move on.
Yeah.
MoveOn.org, whatever that is. But I think. Go ahead, Marty.
Well, I was going to say, this kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. I think a lot of the people are hoping that something gets done, but they're hoping the other guys do it. Okay, and no, they do not. It's not even about whether they're conscious about the fact that if they don't do something, hold these people accountable, it's going to come back. And look at all of history. Okay, even the topics that Brett talked about. Okay, situations like this, people like that have existed throughout all of time. Okay, but here's the one question that we don't learn from this, because the people that were young men and young women who were taken advantage of by the Romans. Okay, it was power corrupted. Okay, this stuff. Morality is all about people with power, and these people are running around, coming out of closets and whatnot now. But because they're being recognized by the people with power, and the people with power are having an impact on them that they don't even realize. They're all subservient to it. We heard the mayor of.
Oh, looks like you froze up.
Marty might have froze. Mayor of somewhere. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, Ken, and thank you for bringing this up. And it's important to think, because people say, "Oh, this is just sour grapes," and we don't have to go through and rehash all this stuff again. If you think, you go back in history, this has to do with the Russian collusion, that supposedly the line that Vladimir Putin and the Russian people and Russian bots were helping President Trump in the run-up to the general election in 2016. Well, Obama's Department of Justice looked at this, investigated it, and before the November election said there's nothing to it. There's nothing there. And and then, because I think that they thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win. And then Donald Trump won in November. And then in mid-November, a couple weeks after that, after the election, President Obama said, and this is all matter of written record.
Yeah.
President Obama said, "Well, you know what? Maybe we need to take a look at this again. Maybe the Russians really did do this." And then so and this is something that was very telling because I pulled this out because I still have the Federalist article that was written back in, I think it was back in 2020 whenever all this stuff was coming out. And so if I could, Susan Rice was one of Barack Obama's advisors
Right.
in the inner circle.
Right.
And I think she was a ringleader of a lot of this stuff. But she sent an email to herself on January the 20th, and I've got it right here. It's pretty brief. I just like to kind of run through it. And so this has been declassified, and this is part of what Tulsi Gabbard said. So this is her email. On January 5th of 2017, on January 5th, following a briefing by IC leadership, which is intelligence community leadership, on Russian hacking during the 2016 presidential election, President Obama had a brief follow-on conversation with FBI Director Jim Comey and Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates in the Oval Office. Vice President Biden and I, meaning Susan Rice, were also present. President Obama began the conversation by stressing his continued commitment to ensuring that every aspect of this issue is handled by the intelligence and law enforcement committees, quote, by the book. Okay, well, how was it handled before when your DOJ looked at it in the fall? The president stressed that he is not asking about initiating or instructing anything from a law enforcement perspective. He reiterated that our law enforcement team needs to proceed as it normally would by the book. There it is again. From a national security perspective, however, President Obama said he wants to be sure that as we engage with the incoming team, meaning the incoming Trump administration, we're mindful to ascertain if there is any reason that we cannot share information fully as it relates to Russia. It says Director Comey affirmed that he is proceeding by the book. There it is again, not a coincidence, as it relates to law enforcement. From a national security perspective, Comey said he does have some concerns that incoming NSA General Flynn, Michael Flynn, is speaking frequently with Russian Ambassador Kislyak. Comey said that could be an issue as it relates to sharing sensitive information. So this is kind of perpetuating this whole collusion hoax. President Obama asked Comey if he was saying that the NSC should not pass sensitive information related to Russia to Flynn. Comey replied, potentially. He added that he has no indication thus far that Flynn has passed classified information to Kislyak, but he noted that the level of communication is unusual. The president asked Comey to inform him if anything changes in the next few weeks that should affect how we share classified information with the incoming team. Comey said he would. Also remember that I think the day before President Trump's inauguration on the 19th of January, President Obama signed an executive order to make intelligence sharing easier between multiple agencies. So this would disseminate all this information across not just the intelligence community, but across a whole myriad of agencies in the federal government, presumably to make it more difficult to kind of playing whack-a-mole. So this it looks to me, Susan Rice sending an email to herself about recapping this January 5th meeting looks like a COIA act on her part. And yeah, I want justice. I'm ready for some scalps. Let's put some people. Let's lock some people up.
Yeah, look at the millions and millions of dollars and the impact that had to Trump's first term. I mean this is what people need to take into account, because if they don't hold all of the people accountable for this that promulgated this story and built upon it and cost taxpayers so much money, it's going to happen again.
Yep.
But I question whether or not there's enough people that are going to really step forward and demand this. I mean, I would encourage everybody to call your local congressman and just go off on them like crazy, that they need to push this through the Justice Department, and we want that accountability. We got to start harping on this.
Yeah, this was a coup. This was a coup.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
You know, to take my comment a little further, I this just came to my mind about whether the public has the wherewithal to entertain this type of stuff. What do you think about the efforts at determining Joe Biden's mental capacity and mental during his administration? Do you think does the public? Do you think the public wants to know that? Wants to rehash that?
I think a lot of people still want to know who is running the country. For one, I think most people at least are curious about that, and in order to do that, you have to answer that question.
It even goes back to how do you get elected? You know, I mean, the numbers don't even add up.
Yeah.
You know, the basic voter tally doesn't even add up. Nothing makes sense. But yet, people sat by and let it all happen. We deserve what we got. We're fortunate as hell that after 4 years of that mess, we came out of it the way we did. Because look at who's been on the precipice of our front door. You know, between North Korea, you know, the terrorists all over the world, the Russians, the Chinese. I mean, the only thing saving us is our own beloved Second Amendment and the fact that so many people cherish that.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah,
you're right. I mean, we're fortunate to have a country left to even fight for.
Yeah.
After that,
but it's been destroyed from within by all this.
Well, and that's where it has. That's what Abraham Lincoln said. You know, America would never be conquered from without. It would be conquered from within, and that's what we've seen. Well, I tell you, one group of people who should be all for trying to get to the bottom of this are Bernie Sanders supporters. I mean, let's.
Yeah.
He got hosed in the 2016 primary. He should have been the presidential nominee of the Democrat Party, but the superdelegates ended up going, with Hillary Clinton, and then. And then in 2020 as well. I mean, he should have beaten Joe Biden. And Jim Clyburn, Jim Clyburn, gave him basically lobbied the black vote in South Carolina. They reworked the whole entire primary system to make South Carolina first, to where Joe Biden would win that, to where if it was going to be in Iowa, he would have lost. Bernie Sanders would have won, and then the whole thing is blown wide open. So to me, if there's anybody that should be upset about the whole entire system of corruption, it should be Bernie Sanders supporters.
Yeah.
Well, and the last Democratic candidate for president didn't even run in anything. Never got nominated by anybody. Just all of a sudden stepped in and was the candidate.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because it was. I put a post on Facebook here today. I'm just like, because I hear about all this Trump cult and all this stuff. I'm like, well, Joe Biden was shaking hands with the air, and the media said he's fine, everything's good. This is the best version of Biden ever. And Democrat voters like, okay. And then they had the primary process, and the event was that, hey, you know what, we're pushing Joe, we're shoving him, we're chucking him off the side of the pier here, and media says, hey, you know what, Kamala's your candidate now. And Democrat voters like, okay, sure. And then we see this. One of the things that has had some friction in the Trump administration, Trump 2.0, was President Trump comes out. Why are you still talking about the Epstein files? What are you talking about? We're not going to deal. It's a hoax and blah, blah, blah. And some media says, move on. Other media says, yeah, this is kind of a big issue. And then Trump voters are just like, whoa, wait a minute. No, we voted for justice. Just like we want to see this. If anything credible, anything that's legit, you need to release all of it. And I'm just like, and so whose voters are in the cult again? I mean, come on.
Now this happens to be one of the topics that I've been focused on, the Epstein files. I'm still focused on that, and I'm very interested in this move now of releasing the grand jury testimony Uh, and our own leader, Mark Meckler, addressed this last night on his podcast. Evidently, I don't know where Mark got this information, but evidently there's a concern that the files have been packed with maybe, if I'm interpreting this right, packed with misleading information or extraneous information, and that in fact the grand jury testimony is the purest evidence against Epstein, and that's why he wants that's why they're pushing for the release of the grand jury testimony. Have any of you heard anything to this effect?
Yeah, I heard something similar, and it makes you wonder. I mean, there's got to be some. If you have any faith remaining in the Justice Department, you got to ask yourself why was Epstein and Giselle thrown in jail? They had to have something on them. You know, either that or they're political prisoners. You know,
Yeah, why is she in jail? You know what? Well,
but then the same thing happened to the January 6th people. They didn't do anything, but they
right.
were thrown in prison. You know, I mean, so who knows? Who knows? But I have heard that the grand jury testimony and uh, is the most damning of all of the details, and that's what ultimately ended him in jail. So
I like that a lot. I mean, I mean, they were thrown in, like you said, they were thrown in jail for sex trafficking. Okay,
yeah,
well, okay, there's a trafficker. Well, there has to be a traffickee. There has to be somebody that was trafficked too. Nobody cares whether. I mean, I don't care whether Epstein killed himself or not. You know, he's deader than I mean, he's deader than whoever. I mean, he's deader than dead, and so whatever. But if there's not people that, if there aren't people that were trafficked too, then you gotta release Giselle Maxwell. I mean, what
yeah,
she if there aren't any, but there's got to be somebody there, and I totally believe that this information has been corrupted, and there's a bunch of stuff in there that doesn't make any sense. I think it's brilliant releasing the grand jury testimony. And the other thing, going back to what Kim was talking about, with with Tulsi Gabbard's criminal referral, like something doesn't add up. So so the Biden administration has control of all this information, both Barack Obama, being behind allegedly the whole entire Russian hoax and a coup attempt, and then they had the access to the Epstein files, and so they're going to corrupt the Epstein files, but they're not going to corrupt, and they're not going to like scrub this information directly implicating Joe Biden, James Comey, James Clapper, Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett. I mean, a whole cavalcade of actors in
yeah.
in conducting a coup. It's strange times we live in. It's very odd.
And again, it cost us all millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
All this is, and we're going to spend millions and millions more to try to get to the bottom of it. So all you can hope for is that at some point, when is the money worth anything? You know?
Let's go.
Well, we're going way over time on this segment. In addition to the Epstein files, I've been focused on, of course, Elon Musk, the America Party, and his involvement, hopefully, in COS, and our efforts to get him on board endorsing COS rather than creating a third party. And of course, another thing I've been focused on is this rescission bill that just went through for $9 billion, drop in a bucket. I know the headline, of course, is NPR and PBS funding, but $9 billion is I don't know what, less than 1% of the national debt.
A whole lot less than that.
Is it less than that? I mean, it's practically nothing, and of course we were all looking for and hopefully there'll be more coming, but we were certainly looking for more cuts than that. So
We got one more comment to put up, Dale, to kind of wrap up that little segment we just had there. And Gary says, so thousands of videos of child sex abuse victims never to be seen. Why can they not obscure the children and show us who the perps were? I mean, why can't they block out the things that they're trying to that they come to the American public with and say, well, we can't do this because we got to protect the kids and the innocent.
And I think everybody wants to protect them. I
Sure.
don't
Well,
know
I don't disagree, but Gary's got a point. Why can't they obscure the children? Why can't that be done? I mean, they can throw us off of YouTube.
They are.
Yeah.
What, Marty?
Because of who they are.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've gone way over on this segment, but it was good. I want to thank you all for joining in on this. I really like this new segment that we've created here in Focus. I think it's very interesting, and I hope our viewers enjoy this. So, Marty, Brett, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you all.
Good evening, bud. See you guys. Whoop. Ken, I tell you what, I think I'm going to make a program change here.
You're gonna have to call it on the fly, Dale.
This next interview that we have recorded, as a matter of fact, with Brett on the War Powers Act,
right?
That's a 34-minute interview. I think we're going to hold that for another broadcast. What do you think?
That makes sense. I think Brett would agree. He probably needs to go get a drink of water and wait for the next
It's
time
a topic. It's a topic that was in the news, obviously.
Yeah.
Not so much now, but right. we could certainly work that in a very near future.
I agree.
Episode. So I think we're going to skip over that. And so, Ken, let's go to how about you telling us about this QR code up here?
Yeah, the QR code up there is our little support QR code. I think we tell everybody each week that this is something just to show the COS Today group that we are supported and you are liking what we're putting out. By getting your smartphone out and capturing that QR code, you're going to put in a name and an email, and that will give you access to our platform where you can look up additional contributor segments and some other niceties that we've added to there, some educational and informational type information, as well as collaborate with other supporters. And that's the whole gist behind it. So get your smartphone out and capture that QR code and show the support. Wave the flag.
All right. Good deal. Well, let's listen to Maringo Mike here. We should have played this earlier when we first started out this evening. I forgot to do it. So Maringo wants to remind us about subscribing to COS Today. So let's listen to what he has to say.
All right.
Maringo Mike here, asking you to hit that like, subscribe, and especially that notification bell so you'll be reminded every time we go live. We really do appreciate your support. Now, back to our program.
All right. Thanks, Maringo. Good reminder. We'll try and maybe work that in again before we sign off tonight.
Yeah.
So let's. We always like to include a series on Dave's Daily Dose, which is generated by David Punt out of Minnesota, COS volunteer out of Minnesota. And this one, he wants to talk about a Gallup poll. And I thought this was kind of interesting. So let's take a listen to what he has to say on Dave's Daily Dose.
Those folks who want illegal immigrants to survive, thrive, and drive in this country got a big boost from a recent Gallup poll. But it's not the Gallup people's fault. The lefty loony mainstream Democrat media is back at work. And all they had to do is remember to remove one little word from their stories: illegal. This is Dave's Daily Dose on Broken Road Radio. I'm David Allen Punt. All sorts of news outlets are repeating and reprinting this Associated Press lefty report that makes sure to leave out the word illegal when they say that a huge number of Americans now think immigration is a wonderful thing. And most of the movement in the poll, according to the lefty media, comes from Republicans, leading us walking, talking, breathing, thinking people out here in the hinterlands to easily accept the notion that now that we have the border closed and some or most of the really bad guys put in handcuffs and sent to places where there are lots of alligators, everything is okie dokie. But that's not what it says. I haven't read the polling questions, but I have $1 to a donut that it doesn't say that either. Everyone in the land of the free and the home of the brave wants immigration. Well-educated, well-heeled foreigners to come to the country and help us keep the lights on. They can come in the front door, take the test, raise their hand, and presto changeo, they're Americans. All is well. Will Gallup ever ask that question and include the word illegal? They probably have, and probably always do. But the lefty-loony news media doesn't want to repeat that story, that overwhelmingly Americans want illegals to hit the road. There might even be a big shift in the polling numbers when folks who take the poll are asked about the DACA kiddos, those folks who were dragged kicking and screaming into the country by their illegal alien parents and are still here, no matter what happened to mom and dad. The poll says 85% now think they should get a shot at the citizenship brass ring with conditions. But the stories don't mention what the conditions are. Most of these lefty-loony stories are an attempt to get Democrats back in the driver's seat and villainize the Trumpster as if to say, see, even Republicans don't agree with his cockamamie notions on how to run a government. Truth to tell, we do, and we better, or we won't have a country to call our own, and we'll never make it to birthday 250. I'm David Allen Punt.
Another good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. Dave's he's produced so many of these. I have a hard time picking out which
Good
one
ones.
to air.
Yeah.
Believe me, there are many that we never get around to showing, and they're very good. He does a great job on this.
Yep.
Well, listen, folks. Convention of States has a annual summit every year. That's why it's called an annual summit, isn't it? But this year's annual summit is going to take place in Indianapolis. And we're very proud to be hosting this summit this year here in the state of Indiana. So Maringo Mike's put a little video together on the upcoming summit. So those of you that are in Convention of States, if you're volunteers or supporters, you need to get your registration in for this. So let's take a look at what Maringo Mike's got to show us about the upcoming summit here in Indianapolis.
Maringo Mike here with a reminder of an event you're not going to want to miss. The Race to Freedom Summit is going to be held right here in Indianapolis, September 18th through the 20th, and it's coming quicker than you think. So, watch the video and get yourself registered for the Race to Freedom Summit here in Indianapolis. See you there.
Hey, Convention of States, this is Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith. We're so happy to have you here in Indiana. I'm a big supporter of an Article 5 convention. I love what you're doing. Keep driving that ball home, and welcome to Indianapolis.
museum. He's a volunteer here. Come to the museum. You're going to love it. This is a great place. Rich comes out here once a month from St. Louis, Missouri. He volunteers this time, just like you're doing. Come meet Rich at the museum.
Well, there you go, Dale.
Yeah, good job. Good job.
Yeah, I wanted to say too that I know that obviously the 500 and even the Brickyard, which is coming up at the end of this month, will have already been run. But for those that are coming out to the summit, there is another race going on during that time here. It's actually takes place on the 19th, 20th, and the 21st. It's the Indianapolis Motor Speedway WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. Now, I never attended that or anything, but there is actually the last day of that is Sunday following our summit on the 21st at 8 a.m. I know people can get tickets for that if they'd like to get a little bit of race participation in while they're here in Indianapolis. Again, it's not the 500, but get a little flavor of racing here in Indianapolis.
Yeah. And Ken, where is the place that the summit's being held? Is the Sheraton?
That's the Sheraton Hotel, yeah, and it's on the north side of Indy. It's at what they call the Keystone Fashion Mall area.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I gotta make my room reservations there. Did you get your registration fully paid?
I got another payment to make.
Okay. All right.
I was doing the installment procedure.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on here. Let's talk about what's coming up here, Ken, on COS today. Well, next Monday, the 28th, is our roundtable, and this is one that we do every fourth Monday of the month, and we have about 5 state leaders participating, and it's hosted by our own John Ackerman. And John picked the topic this time, and he's picked Elon's America Party and Convention of States. So I'm hoping by next Monday, I'm hoping Elon will be on board, but I don't know if that's going to happen yet. But I'm certainly hoping. But I think it ought to be a very interesting discussion. Has he formally applied to form the America Party? Do you know, Ken?
I don't know. I don't think he has, although I don't have any specific.
I don't know. I don't know if that's. I heard both ways. I've heard it both ways, and that he hasn't applied, but then I heard that he did.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I know.
Is that something that can be withdrawn even though you've applied? I don't know.
I have no idea.
It's some territory we've never gone into very much.
So anyway, ought to be an interesting discussion, and that'll be next Monday, the 28th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's coming up on a roundtable. Now, the following Monday, then, which puts us into August already.
Yep.
We're going to be our main topic, in addition to the In Focus segment that we'll be doing at the start of every regular weekly broadcast. One of our contributors out of Idaho, Ken Whaley, is going to tell us about alligator Alcatraz and give us the ins and outs about what that is all about and what it is really about. And you hear different stories, but And I guess they're going to set up some more of these types
Well,
of.
they're still looking at Alcatraz, from what I
They
understand.
are. They are. I was
Yeah.
surprised that I thought that had been pretty well
Squashed.
poo-pooed, but
Yeah, yeah,
evidently they're still thinking about that.
yeah,
So um, there's some major costs involved, it seems to me, in
yeah.
trying to.
It's not quite the same as
Right, right.
alligator Alcatraz. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is, and matter of fact, I started. I had put together a little information on this. There was a plot of land in Texas that the state of Texas was going to
Yeah.
give to the government. The
I,
Star Ranch, I believe, is what it was called.
yeah, I'd heard about that. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think you found out it was formerly a nudist colony, or there was a.
I think there were some connections to it at what it once was at one time. I don't know. I'd have to really take a deep dive on that one.
But it's an ideal piece of property, very close to the border,
Yeah.
and with transportation accessible nearby. So I haven't heard anything more about that. I don't know if that's one of the locations that they may be looking at utilizing. But
Well,
anyway,
what do you think about the other maneuver where they're in our own home state here of Indiana, where they're looking at putting some of these up in the military bases? Um,
I think that's a good idea. I think that's
you know,
good utilization. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know I know the Dems are fighting now too. Of course, we didn't expect anything less, but
Right.
you know, I agree.
Now, are these existing bases or are these bases that are no longer in use?
I know existing bases. Yeah,
Existing. Okay.
yeah.
All right. All right.
So
Okay. Well, folks, as usual, anyone that may have a comment or a question about tonight's broadcast or anything about our broadcast, COS today, drop us an email at raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. Raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. Well, we always like to include a segment from with John Ackerman, COS Basics. And so let's look at what he's got in store for us tonight, Ken.
all right.
Of States, Indiana. In my series COS Basics, today I want to talk to you about a point made by attorney Rita M. Peters. She writes that Congress cannot use its Article 1 powers to control an Article 5 convention. Okay? Congress cannot control the convention. Article 5 naysayers claim that once 34 applications have been filed, Congress will simply assert its power under the necessary and proper clause from Article 1 to take over the convention. The response to this claim is a matter first of law and second of logic. Number one, the law. The necessary and proper clause is part of Congress's regular legislative power found in Article 1, and it does not apply to Article 5 at all. Because the limited authority Congress has under Article 5 is completely separate from its regular legislative powers. In fact, federal courts have ruled that Congress's attempt to use Article 1 power to affect the Article 5 convention would be unconstitutional. Quoting now from the court, Congress, outside of the authority granted by Article 5, does not retain any of its traditional authority vested in it by Article 1. Close quote. This case, incidentally, was litigated and won by the Convention of States Project's own Michael Ferris. So it's a matter of law. Number two, there's also a logical flaw here. Why in the world would Congress even bother to make an unconstitutional effort to try to control the Article 5 convention when it can simply propose amendments of its own? And so I repeat, Attorney Rita M. Peters' point that Congress cannot use its Article 1 powers to control an Article 5 convention.
Another good segment from John there. Always like his COS basics. Well, Ken, let's wrap it up here. I want to let Maringo Mike tell everybody about subscribing one more time. And then we'll say goodnight to everyone and let Maringo close us out for this evening.
Okay.
So
Little doubleheader.
we're getting finished a tad earlier than normal tonight, but better than going later. And I think so. I hope everyone agrees with what we've done tonight. So let's take a look here at what Maringo's got for us again here.
Maringo Mike here, asking you to hit that like, subscribe, and especially that notification bell so you'll be reminded every time we go live. We really do appreciate your support. Now, back to our program.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you all for tuning in tonight. I think we had a very good program. We modified the schedule tonight, but I think it was a good thing that we did. And so, again, thank you all for tuning in. Once again, a reminder, next Monday night is our monthly roundtable. So we're going to be talking about Elon Musk and the America Party and Convention of States. Ken, did we have any other comments that we wanted to show or anything tonight?
No, the last one from Gary was what we had concerning sex trafficking. So that's about it there. We may find some more in our emails next week. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you.
Good night.
Maringo Mike here with a reminder that our...
Whoops.
I'm trying my hardest here.
Maringo Mike here with a reminder that our work to raise the bar on making our federal government accountable to the people is only halfway done. We need to grow our grassroots army of citizens every day to fulfill the vision of our forefathers and keep our land free and prosperous. So, if you have never signed the petition to show your support, use that QR code and do that now. While you're there, why not kick it up a notch and volunteer for many of the positions available where your talents can make a difference as we march into a new year. Thank you, and God bless.